So I'm Emily Honda with Speed.Training here with Knengi Martin, two-time world champion. So Knengi, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, thank you for having me on the show, Emily. Appreciate it. Knengi Martin, number 47, San Diego Surge, number 47, Team USA. I play football, I coach football, I love football, 49ers fan. Yeah. I've been playing football for about 11 seasons. Just finished my 11th season, so in 2015 will be my 12th year. Let's see, what else? I've got some national championships. I've got some world championships. Feels good. I was just named defensive player, defensive MVP by my team, and then defensive player of the year by the WFA at the championships. So I had a pretty good defensive year.
Okay, well, how'd you get into football? I mean, it's not a sport for women.
I played a year of Pop Warner when I was a kid, and then I played my freshman year in high school, and my grades kind of suffered in school. So I got out of it, but when I went off to college in San Luis Obispo, which is up north, I went to a party, and somebody was like, hey, you should play women's football, and I was like, yes, let's do this. So I think the next day we went and signed up, and that was 12 years ago, roughly. So.
Okay. Well, like you said, you are a world champion, two-time world champion. What was that like playing, on representing the nation on Team USA?
It was amazing. The first year that I put my application in, I just sort of did it just as a whim, just to see. And I made the team, and that first year, so many of the athletes that played on that team were players that I had been hearing about. Film was really limited in 2010 to watch other teams play, so I didn't know a whole lot about them, but there were people like Jessica Springer there who played for Dallas for probably 12 years, just phenomenal running back, linebacker. Rusty Sowers, who was a wide receiver for Kansas City, outstanding athlete. Jenny Schmidt, she was one of the first quarterbacks in women's football to throw for over 3,000 yards. Getting to meet and play with those type of players who I'd been hearing about coming into the league was just an amazing experience. We got to go to Sweden, and I'd never been over there. So the whole experience of it was amazing. Getting to do nothing but football for 2 weeks was probably 2 of the best weeks of my life, because I didn't have to do anything but watch film and go to study hall and practice. So I was a happy football player.
Okay, and in 2013, right after becoming a world champion, you come back and you're a national champ. That's like 2 huge victories back to back. How was that 2013 season for you?
The 2013 season, well, so we won in 2012, and then in 2000. That's okay. So we won the national championship at Heinz Field, which, I mean, it was almost surreal to be on that field, to have the jumbotron, to have the ketchup bottle over the top of the screen, and so playing on that field was in itself an amazing experience. Then on top of that, to win a national championship was huge. You don't get to do that very often, and so I really treasured that experience. Being selected for that 2013 Team USA almost felt more special because I tried out for the team. In 2010, they had people submit applications, and then you were selected based on the coaches watching film and interviewing people you'd work with and played with. And in 2013, they actually had us all try out. And so I got to go out and compete against people that I was going to be playing with. And so it was great for me because I love being on the football field, and I love competing, and I love tackling, and I love all the things that go into football. So for me, that 2013 tryout experience and then making the team almost made it that much better, because I really knew that I'd earned that spot by showing the coaches what I could do on the field. Obviously, the head coach knew me from 2010, but it's a 3-year difference, so who knows what kind of player you're going to be 3 years down the road. So I think that it was a more special experience for me in 2013 because I felt like I'd earned my spot on the team, and I felt like I had started to make a name for myself in women's football at that point. So when I came in, there were some people who were like, "Oh, you're Knengi. Like, I've heard of you. I've seen you play." And I was like, "Whoa." hold on now. I'm just a football player like you, but I think there was a little something extra that trip.
Okay, so you have kind of like your own little following, your own little fan club. Congratulations on that, definitely. But you also coach high school football. What do your players think about that?
My players love it. I don't advertise it a lot to them, but of course they are the multimedia generation, and so I came to practice one day and they had all found YouTube videos of me. And so they're like, Coach, you're such a bad, you go out and you stiff arm people and you hit people and blah, blah. And I was like, where did you guys find all this stuff? And they're like, YouTube, oh man, Coach, you're, and I was like, wow, okay. So they love it. I think that they respect it because I'm still close to the game. Some of the coaches that we have played 30 years ago. And it was just a different game 30 years ago. You could grab kids by their face mask. You could keep them from getting water. You could practice for 6 hours in one day without a break. And, now CIF has more rules and regulations to help, which is fine. It's how the game is changing. But I think for them to know that I'm still that close to the game that, during spring football when we're practicing, I have to leave practice at a certain time to get to my practice. So when I say, guys, don't cut sprint short, I don't do it, they know that I'm not talking 30 years ago. I'm talking last night at my practice. I was running suicides. So I think it's just a different level of respect that I get from them. But they all love it. They all respect me as a coach. So I love coaching. And I'm excited. This is my 7th season coaching, so hopefully decades to come.
Right, definitely, because, let's be realistic. You've played longer than a lot of other coaches in these leagues, in these high school leagues. You definitely have earned that respect. So like you said, you've coached for about 7 years now. So if you could remember back and think back to when you first started, and I know you did coach a lot of these kids in younger leagues, was there any adversity from either faculty members, other coaches, any of the kids, parents?
I started out in youth football. So I started out, and the first meeting I went to, they said, okay, we're going to have you coach like the little kids, it's basically herding kittens, like 7, 8, 9. Their attention span is, and they just, a butterfly will distract them and the play is just shot. So originally they were going to have me do that. We had basically like a combine, and I got put in charge of a drill, and they realized that I knew football and that I knew how to talk to players. And so I ended up with the 7th and 8th grade team. And that for me was a great experience. I think I had a couple dads that first year who were kind of like, hold up, there's a lady coaching our boys. And after seeing me coach and after meeting me, they realized that I was a football player and I knew the game. And so a lot of the parents actually would help get me into the high school. So I did youth football for 2 seasons, and then I got a job at Mission Prep High School. And a huge part of me getting that job was parents from my 7th and 8th grade team whose sons were going to be freshmen saying, you have to bring Coach Martin in. She knows what she's talking about. She's a great asset. All of our kids love her. And so that's what got me into the high school. So I really never had any sort of really strong pushback against me coaching, but I also came in knowing what I was talking about. And that's the biggest thing that parents and players and other coaches respect, is if you know your X's and O's, if you know how to talk football, if you're confident about it, they respect you. So.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. So there was no faculty members, nothing?
No, I was a little surprised because I was hired on at a Catholic high school. And so I was kind of like, there's going to be somebody who doesn't like it or, writes a letter. But I think partly because it was a smaller school and I had so much support from the parents that there was no room to argue. I was a known commodity, and I'm pretty likable. So, it made it easy. Everybody that I met, I could talk to them. I could let them know what my goals were, sort of what my plan was for everything. And so I never really had any conflicts or issues with faculty or parents or players. So I've been really lucky in my coaching career.
Okay. Was there ever a time where you felt like, oh my gosh, I'm one of the very few female coaches out there. I need to prove myself somehow. I read about how you let your kids, you kind of go out there, you play around with them a little bit.
I do. Those first 2 seasons that I coached, I actually strapped on the shoulder pads and I did blocking drills with my linemen. And it was great. They loved it. I loved it. The parents kind of got a kick out of it. And I think that was one of those things that early on in my coaching career sort of let people know that I was the real deal. When I was able to go out there and, I'm dealing with 7th and 8th graders, so I was a lot stronger than 99% of them. I had a couple man-child athletes, but there was nobody that could beat me. And so they realized that I wasn't just talking. I could actually say, do as I do, not just do as I say. I now don't put on the shoulder pads, but I will do drills with them as far as, being a body, getting hits on them. If we're doing at San Diego High School, we have a much smaller roster. So if we're doing drills where I need my receiver to have someone jam them, I'll be that person. I'll jam them off the LOS and I'll force them to get into their route. And if they go soft, I'm going to try and knock them on their butt. They don't get any better by being allowed to get away with, half-assing it. So I try, when possible, to let them know that I still know the game and that I am still competing. But I don't put the shoulder pads on anymore. There's just not enough time in our practice to have fun like that.
Okay. And being a female coach, I know that I read that one of the obstacles you had to overcome was the locker room. You have to, male coaches don't have to think about that. You have to give them a warning or whatever it is before going into the locker room, before games, whatever it is. Do you still have, obstacles like that? Is that still an obstacle for you?
It's a little less of an obstacle this year. When I was at Mission Prep, our coach's office, you had to walk through the locker room to get to the coach's office, so I either had to get in there really early and leave right before practice, or I just stayed out of the coach's office. So that was kind of an issue, but right now at San Diego, we have a separate coach's office, we have a separate locker room, so for the most part, it's not an issue. There are some aspects to being a female head coach that make it difficult, and that would be one. I don't usually go in and give a pregame speech. The high school that I'm at, we're not super football friendly, and so the kids get out with about 45 minutes to get changed and get warmed up before our home games. So there's not a lot of time for me to, give my long spiel and say, we're going to go out and we're going to run this, and we're going to punch them in the mouth, and we're going to... So I kind of, try and get them rallied up on the field. So I haven't had that issue in a few seasons, but it is something that I have to be conscious of if I do need to go into the locker room. Again, it's not as much of an issue right now, so I don't really think about it, but, it's a small price to pay for getting to do what I love.
Okay, well, so you being a football player, working with these kids, do you have anything you can tell young athletes, parents of little girls, even little boys who want to get into football, any advice that you can give them as far as preparation mentally, physically for the sport? It's a tough sport.
The biggest thing is going in and being coachable, a desire to work hard. If you don't want to get pushed around yourself, don't play football. Because especially when you're first learning, the only way you're really going to learn is by getting reps. And to get reps, you're going to get pushed around. You're going to get beat up a little bit because you're learning the game. You're learning how to be a football player. So actually, my girlfriend's daughter, she's 8. She's just turned 8, and she's playing her first year of youth football, and she's playing tackle football, and she's loving it. She's not great. She only weighs about 55 pounds. So she's one of the little ones out there, but she loves it. She's not afraid to stick her nose in and try and tackle the biggest kid on her team or the biggest kid on the opposing team. And so for her, it's what I'm seeing. It's her love of the game. It's her love of sports. and her willingness to go out there and do the very best that she can, regardless of whether or not she's the best player out there. And so I think for any kid that's trying to get into the sport of football, you just have to be willing to put yourself out there. Because if you're not willing to put yourself out there, you're not going to get an opportunity to actually try it. Parents also want to make sure that the coaches are at least heads up certified, or there's a new tackling video out there put out by the Seattle Seahawks, which not endorsing the Seahawks, but it's a great method of tackling. It's what we're using at the high school, and it helps take the head out of the tackle, which is what you want. And it's actually more of a rugby style tackle. So your daughter could probably benefit from watching that video. And so I think that as long as the coaches are knowledgeable in what they're teaching, the players will be safe. It's a collision sport, so there's always that chance of injury. But if players are being taught correctly, and they're not being taught to lead with their head, and they're not being taught to, they're breaking bad habits early on, football can be a really safe and fun sport.
So your girlfriend's daughter, is she playing on an all-girls league? Is she playing with boys?
Yeah.
Boys?
She's on the Del Norte Nighthawks Mighty Might team. And so she's the only girl on her team. But like I said, she loves it. She comes home from practice every day, and she is happy to be out there on the field. She's, playing on the defensive side. She's actually wearing 47 this year, which is exciting.
Do you have any influence on that?
Maybe a little bit. Last year she did flag football last year, and she was her mom's number. And this year she decided to go with my number. I can't say that I didn't get a huge smile when she said that she wanted to be 47. So but I mean, again, it's fun. She enjoys it. Her coaches are knowledgeable. They're teaching good technique out there, and that's, to me, what is important, is that she's enjoying herself, that all the kids are enjoying themselves, and that they're being taught to do football in a safe way.
Okay, and being that she's the only female on this team, eventually, with hormones and everything, it's gonna, she can't play with boys forever. Do you think?
You can't. No.
Yeah, I mean.
Some girls can. I have met, I've played with a number of girls who played through high school. The quarterback for the Chicago Force, Sammy Gersafi, played in Redlands. She was a varsity quarterback, and it is possible. You just have to be dedicated, and you have to understand that there is an advantage when you hit high school. I believe that starting in high school, boys have a definite advantage. Girls are a lot smarter. So if they can get their technique down at the beginning of high school, they actually still have the advantage, because I love my guys, but sometimes it goes in one ear and out the other. I teach them a technique and they bull rush. It's, I'm like, get your hands up, club rip, and they just run helmet first into the guy in front of them. So, for girls, as they get up into the higher levels, technique becomes huge, because in my opinion, technique can beat out physical size and skill, not every time, but a lot of the time, because technique is huge. If you can get under someone's shoulder pads when you're trying to drive block them, there's very little you can do once someone has you in a good drive block. So, that's the biggest thing. I don't think Ada's going to make it that far. She's just not built to play football unless she wants to play, safety or receiver or something along those lines. But she's a phenomenal soccer player, and so I kind of think that's the avenue she'll take.
Now?
What was that?
What position is she playing now?
She's playing outside linebacker and corner.
Oh, okay.
So, and again, if the ball is coming her way, the ball carrier, she is not afraid to stick her nose in there and make the tackle. It doesn't matter if they're 2 to 3 times her size. She'll go. She goes in low. She makes good tackles. So, at this level, she's, doing as well as the next kid. So
does she watch your YouTube videos and all the videos of you playing? Is that kind of like inspiration?
She has gone to most of the games. There's a few games that she's missed, but she's at most of our games. And so I think for her, seeing myself play, seeing her mom play, she's friends with a lot of the women on the team. And so she has a lot of respect for female football players, because she knows that it can be done at a high level.
Right. But, I've read your interviews. You like to hit. Does that have any influence on her playing style at all?
I don't think at this point it does, because she's still getting her bearings as far as learning how the game really flows. Flag football is a little bit different than tackle football, but I mean, she likes to watch football on Sundays with me. She likes the sport in general. She's still just trying to figure out if she's actually a football player, which she might be a soccer player. I will still love her. Her mom played collegiate and semi-pro soccer, so it would be right up her alley. She's just enjoying it right now, which is all that matters to me.
Right. Of course. So with women's football, where do you see women's football going in the future?
I think that women's football has the potential to grow. It has the potential to become something like the WNBA. For that to happen, the leagues have to unify. We have to stop having 3 leagues with 50 teams apiece, because as you've seen some of our games, a 60-0 blowout. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody's gonna. No television station is gonna pay money to air a game where it's over in the first quarter or the first half. And so I think that for the leagues getting fewer teams that are more competitive, that can travel further, is what's going to really take women's football to that next level. I think that coaching-wise, we're on the right path because we have high school coaches, we have college coaches, we have former NFL players coaching teams now. I know that Boston, I believe their defensive coordinator is a former NFL player. So the knowledge that he can bring to the game is what elevates our game. And Boston is a top caliber team. I'm still a little sour because we lost to them, but I have nothing but respect for their players, for their coaching staff, for the way that they play the game, because they play football the way it's meant to be played. They're fundamentally very sound, they're good tacklers, and they're coached very, very well. You can tell the teams that have Pop Warner coaching, they don't know how to line up, they don't know how to run plays, they don't know how to run routes, and so as the coaching goes up, the level of play goes up, and from there, all we need 30, 40 teams that are all at that same level, and we'll have a marketable product that people will want to see. Everybody loves football. What's not to love? And people want to see big hits. They want to see fundamentally good football. And when we can have that as our product to offer across the board, I think that the ceiling for women's football is non-existent. But until we get to that point, we're just sort of floating along. And there are good teams here and there. There's probably 15 to 20 in the WFA. There's probably another handful over in the IWFL. And I don't know if it's the WPFL. There's one other league, which I'm not.
USFL?
Yes. And so I think if we can get one league and we can get 30 to 40 really top-notch teams, we'll be able to start selling our product to mainstream markets.
Right. What about the spread of American football, to women throughout the world? Do you think it's growing?
I definitely see it still growing. Sam Rappaport, who works with the NFL and has worked very, very, very hard to get women's football more recognition, both here in the U.S. and overseas. She has put together 2 clinics. One happened last year. They're doing another one this year. And I believe right now there's at least a dozen different countries that are involved and that are going to be sending players over here to compete in a, I think it's a 3-day camp in, I want to say, February or March, something like that. And so stuff like that is huge for women's football. The fact that Team USA has been able to twice now go overseas and compete with these women who, some of them, like the Germany quarterback, have been playing for 2+ decades. And then there's teams like the team in Spain that has been around for 2 years. And that team has a lot of heart. They don't have a lot of football fundamentals yet. But them playing against us and them meeting us, for them was a huge experience, was something that sort of fueled their football fire. I'm friends with a lot of them on Facebook. We have, World Women's Football pages where we can talk and share stories. And I'm I'm so thrilled that the sport of women's football is growing both here in the U.S. and overseas.
Okay, I mean, but one huge challenge that you women football players are facing is you guys don't get paid to play the game you guys love. You guys have to raise the money. You guys have to work full-time jobs. You know, there's so many other obstacles that you guys have to overcome, you know, as opposed to your male counterparts being in the NFL. They get the sponsors, you know, it's different. Do you see that changing at all in the future?
Again, I think it goes back to the unified league and the, 30 to 40 top-notch teams. When we can get teams that can put up games where it's a 3-point game or a 1-point game or a 1-touchdown game, it's easier to get sponsorships because we're playing at more of a professional level. When you have blowout games, nobody's gonna put their money into that, unfortunately, aside from the people who play and do it because they love it. So I think that yes, one day we will get paid. I don't know if it'll happen in my career. Hopefully by the time it happens, I'll be coaching a women's team. But I definitely see it happening, and I can see in the future that players don't have to pay to play. I think it's a little further off for us actually getting paid, but if I could play without having to put out my own money, I would be 100% happy.
Okay, Knengi. Well, I definitely don't want to take up too much more of your time. I know that I only said I was going to keep you for about 30 minutes. I'm getting one more question. Oh, one more question from... Okay, 2 more questions.
Okay.
So, who are your Super Bowl picks?
Ooh.
49ers.
49ers. Who do I think has a good chance on the other side of the ball? You know what? I honestly think that Peyton Manning sort of has something to prove. He's got a chip on his shoulder. I think that last Super Bowl left a pretty sour taste in his mouth. I mean, for being 38, for doing what he's doing, the way he has shaped his game, I think I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with that. 49ers over the Denver Broncos.
Of course. And let's see, one more question. College national championships. Who are you seeing?
I don't know that I follow enough college football to really make any sort of educated guess on this. I am a Stanford fan, so I'm going to go with Stanford. And I don't know. I'm going to say Stanford's going to take it all.
Okay, fair enough.
Wasn't ready for that one.
Quite all right. Just, questions from other people. But, yeah, like I said, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I definitely appreciate the time to us. Yeah, anything else? One last question.
Yeah.
For women, like, who aren't super athletic but want to play football, want to try it out, any suggestions for them?
Go out and give it a shot. Good coaches will help make you better. As long as you're not afraid to get hit and to deliver a hit and you're willing to learn, football can be for everybody. I can't guarantee that someone who has no real athletic skills is going to get playtime, but if you want to go out there and you want to experience football and you want to have fun, join a team. I mean, in 2013, our coaches took a team of rookies and we made it to the playoffs. It's good coaching will get you as far as you want to go, in my opinion, or as far as you're willing to put in the effort for. So, I think that everybody should play at least once. Just give it a go. It's fun. It's a good team sport, and, I love everybody on my team, from Dina Guidry, who is our MVP for the season, all the way down to, I can't even think of a name, but we had a girl last year who was not the greatest football player, but she had heart, and she gave it all she had every single play, and I 100% respected her and loved her and was happy to be her teammate. Okay,
this really, really will be the last question. And
I was looking at time, so I'm not worried about it.
Okay. You keep referring to good coaching. How are we supposed to know good coaching? Like, what signs, what should we be looking for?
I think good coaches aren't gonna be cheerleaders. If you mess up, they're going to tell you what you messed up on, and they're going to tell you how to correct it. If you go to them, you should be able to go to them with questions. They should be trying every day to make you a better football player. If you are playing receiver and you run a really bad route and you don't catch the ball and they say, "Oh, that's okay, you got it next time," it feels good, but you're not getting any better. If they say, "Hey, we've got to make sure that we're, sticking our foot on that break, or we're shooting those hands and looking that football all the way in," that's good coaching. That's what you want. You want somebody who's not going to take it easy on you and who's going to really try and help you get better. That's what I try and do at the high school. We have players at San Diego High School who've never played football before, and so my goal can't be I'm going to win every single game and I've got the best players who are all going to play D1 football. I've got a bunch of guys who've never played before. I have to teach them how to be fundamentally sound football players. And so I very recently took over the varsity head coaching job at San Diego High School. And so my goal there, thank you, my goal there is to create competitive football players. And to do that, I have to make sure that their fundamentals are sound. I have to make sure that they're not getting away with running bad routes and not looking the football in and not stepping when they are, my offensive line, I have to make sure that they're stepping the correct direction and they're firing off the football. Because if I allow them to be lazy, they're not going to get any better. We're not going to be competitive, and they're not going to feel like they're very good football players. And I think that's what it comes down to, is a good coach corrects your mistakes, tells you when you made a mistake, and then corrects it. Everybody knows in school you get a paperback that's corrected, because that's how you get better and that's how you learn, is through correction.
Okay, so do you find that at the Pop Warner level there's a lot of coaches out there who are just trying to win games, not teach fundamentals, but just go out there and kind of throw the kids out there, not teaching them the fundamentals? I mean, what's your experience with that?
Yes and no. It depends on the level that they're at. You see with the little kids, if the parents, you end up with a lot of parent coaches, which is where it's hard. So as long as their goal isn't winning, it's getting these kids to understand football and how to get in a three-point stance and how to, block somebody and tackle somebody, that's all you can really expect from that level. I think as you get into 7th and 8th grade, you get more coaches who expect these kids to have been playing and expect that they've gotten those fundamentals, and so they're more interested in winning. For me, like I said, at the high school, because I know that we have a lot of kids who are coming in as freshmen having never played, I have to be concerned with fundamentals. I can't be concerned with winning. And that for me has taken a sort of mental switch, because for 99% of my football career, I've been on winning teams. 99% of my coaching career, I've been on winning teams. I've been part of winning teams. And so the JV team won their first game last Friday. And one of my players was like, "Coach, you got your first win." And I was like, "No, I got my first win with you guys. I was a winning coach before I got to San Diego." He's like, "Oh." I was like, "But it was fun. Like, I'm not taking anything away from your win. Just I've won before." So again, being competitive to me is always what it's about. Win, lose, draw, be competitive. In the championship game, even though we lost, I felt like for the second half of that game, predominantly, we were very competitive. And so as much as I hate to lose, I can walk off the field at the end of that game saying, I competed, I gave it everything that I had. There's nothing more that I can do. It's a team sport. It takes all 11 people on the field. It takes all 40 of us on the team to win. We played a very well-coached, very high-caliber Boston team. My hat's off to them. But we're coming back next year, bigger, stronger, faster.
Okay. So, I completely forgot this question. I know I keep telling you last question, but...
Like I said, I got some time, so I love talking football.
So being a head coach now, a varsity as well, do you get more nervous? I mean, you've played in world championships. Where are you more nervous, coaching or playing?
I don't know if it's about nervous. I think that it's playing. I get really, really excited. We had our banquet the other night, and just being around my team, I start to bounce. Like, I think I walked in the door, and within about 30 seconds, I was sort of bouncing around. I just can't help it. I get excited to be around my teammates. I get excited for anything that involves football. So for me on game days, I'm just pumped up. My body just wants to move. I'm ready to do what I've been working hard for all week. With coaching, I think that I'm not nervous so much as I'm just anxious, because I know that I've put in a good game plan. I know that I've done the best I can do coaching these guys all week, but I'm not on the field. I'm not the middle linebacker. I don't get to direct traffic with my defense. I don't get to go out there and physically do anything. I'm just trying to get these guys in the right position. I'm trying to give them the right play to help them be successful. And so I think for me, it's just I get a little more anxious and a little more like, oh, like, why can't we do this? Or why aren't we why aren't we filling that gap? Why aren't we making better tackles? So it's not nervous. I don't get nervous so much as I'm just anxious. I don't get to get any of that adrenaline out. I still get the same bounce on game day. I just don't get to hit anybody.
Well, Knengi, I'm definitely don't want to take any of your time, but I completely appreciate the time that you took to talk to us.
Of course.
Anything else that you have to say to these people who are watching, people who have taken the time, anything else?
I would check out the San Diego Surge website. We're always looking for new players. We're always looking for sponsorships. SanDiegoSurge.com. I would, if you're interested in coming to a Cavers football game, San Diego Cavers, I'm going to be starting a Facebook page there. Our program is really in need of help as far as support via fans, support financially. So anything people can do in the San Diego area, come out and cheer for us. We're trying to be competitive. We're trying to change our mentality there. And then for anybody out there in San Diego who's got kids who want to play football, the Knengi Martin Football Academy, I do special personalized training. I do small groups, and it's football fundamentals. It's technique. It's trying to get these kids ready for the next season that they're going to play. So those are sort of the three things that I like to, give a shout out to: is the Surge, the high school, and then myself. For it's personal training, it's football specific training. But yeah, football.
Okay, and for your own academy, is there a website that we can visit, someplace where people can go?
They can email me, Knengi M, Knengim. My name is funky. They can email me, and I give them more information. I'm also working on a Facebook page for that as well. I got lots in the works.
Okay, sounds good, Knengi. Well, thank you again so much for the time that you took. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to, following your high school team and seeing you play this coming up season.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure. I'd do it anytime.
All right, sounds good. I'll hold you to that. We'll be talking again.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Have a good one.
You too.